True crime story. Richard Ramirez, serial sexual assault murderer. A crazy man who sexually assaulted and murdered 13 people in 1 year. Richard Ramirez, born Ricardo Leyva Muñoz Ramirez, February 29, 1960 to June 7, 2013, is one of the most infamous serial killers in American history. Between April 1984 and August 1985, he murdered at least 14 people in the Los Angeles metropolitan area and the San Francisco Bay Area of California, while committing numerous robberies, rapes, and assaults. His crimes, characterized by extreme brutality and randomness, plunged local residents into a state of terror. Operating primarily at night by breaking into homes, he earned the monikers Night Stalker, Walk-in Killer, and Valley Intruder. Ramirez's crimes went beyond mere murder, incorporating satanic elements and extreme humiliation of victims, making his spree all the more terrifying. This document meticulously reconstructs Ramirez's life, the detailed progression of his crimes, the investigation process, his arrest, trial, and the societal impact, analyzing the lasting repercussions of his actions. Early life and background. Birth and family environment. Richard Ramirez was born on February 29, 1960, in El Paso, Texas, as the youngest of 5 children to Mexican immigrants Mercedes Muñoz and Julian Tapia Ramirez. His father worked as a railroad laborer and struggled with alcoholism and a violent temper, frequently subjecting the family to physical abuse. Ramirez suffered multiple head injuries due to this abuse during childhood, which likely contributed to temporal lobe epilepsy, a condition psychiatrist Michael Stone later identified as a potential factor in his aggression and hypersexuality. Stone described Ramirez not as a born psychopath but as a made psychopath, diagnosing his schizoid personality disorder as leading to indifference toward victim suffering and an untreatable condition. The Ramirez family adhered to Catholicism, but the father's violent nature destroyed any sense of domestic stability. As a child, Ramirez was often forced to spend nights in a cemetery as punishment, which is considered an early indicator of his satanic inclinations and bizarre behavior. For instance, his father once tied him to a cemetery cross as a form of discipline, further exacerbating his psychological instability. Drug use and cousins' influence. At age 10, Ramirez began using marijuana and alcohol, embarking on a path of substance abuse. By age 12, he fell under the significant influence of his cousin Miguel Mike Valles, a Vietnam War veteran suffering from schizophrenia and post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD. Valles boasted about war crimes committed during the Vietnam War, showing Ramirez Polaroid photos of atrocities, including rape, murder, dismemberment, and decapitation of Vietnamese women. These images, depicting women bound to trees or poles and subjected to sexual violence or death, fascinated rather than repulsed Ramirez. From Valles, he learned covert infiltration, evasion techniques, and lethal tactics, which he later applied in his crimes. Teenage years and Satanism. In 1975, at age 15, Ramirez witnessed Valles murder his wife, Jessie, with a handgun during a domestic dispute. Far from being traumatized, Ramirez found the act captivating, subsequently spiraling into depression and isolating himself from family and friends. That same year, he dropped out of Jefferson High School in the 9th grade and increased his use of potent drugs like LSD. During this period, he became deeply engrossed in Satanism and the occult, which intertwined his sexual fantasies with violence, bondage, and murder. While working at a local Holiday Inn, Ramirez used a master key to enter guests' rooms, committing thefts and sexual crimes. On one occasion, he molested 2 children in the hotel elevator, though it went unreported. In another incident, he attempted to rape a female guest but was caught by her husband, leading to his dismissal. These early crimes marked the gradual crystallization of his violent tendencies. Moved to California. In 1982, at age 22, Ramirez moved to California, drifting between Los Angeles and San Francisco in a nomadic lifestyle. He became addicted to cocaine, funding his habit through burglaries and thefts. His crimes grew increasingly violent, eventually escalating into serial murder. Moving between San Francisco and Los Angeles County, his drug addiction significantly intensified the frequency and severity of his criminal activities. Criminal activities. 1. First known murder, Mei Leung, April 10, 1984. Ramirez's first known murder occurred on April 10, 1984, in the basement of an apartment building in San Francisco's Tenderloin district. The victim was 9-year-old Mei Leung, who was searching for a lost dollar bill with her 8-year-old brother. Ramirez lured her to the basement, where he beat, strangled, raped, and stabbed her with a switchblade. Leung's body was found hanging from a pipe, partially naked. The case remained unsolved until 2009 when DNA evidence linked Ramirez to the crime. Another minor's DNA was also found, but insufficient evidence prevented prosecution. This murder marked the beginning of Ramirez's criminal spree and revealed his brutal nature. 2. Night Stalker crimes, June 1984 to August 1985. Ramirez's serial killings began in earnest in June 1984. He typically broke into homes at night, selecting victims randomly and using an array of weapons, including .22 and .25 caliber handguns, knives, machetes, tire irons, and claw hammers. His crimes transcended simple murder, involving rape, torture, mutilation, and the leaving of satanic symbols like pentagrams. He took pleasure in humiliating and terrorizing victims, often forcing survivors to swear to Satan to amplify their psychological trauma. Major criminal incidents. June 28, 1984, Jenny Vincow. In Los Angeles' Glassell Park, 79-year-old Jenny Vincow was killed in her home. Ramirez entered through a window by removing a mesh screen and stabbed Vincow multiple times while she slept. Her throat was slashed so deeply it nearly decapitated her. He ransacked the house before fleeing. His fingerprints were found on the window, later becoming a critical clue. This crime marked the beginning of Ramirez combining robbery with murder to sustain his drug addiction. March 17, 1985, Maria Hernandez and Dale Yoshi Okazaki. In Rosemead, Ramirez attacked Maria Hernandez in her garage with a .22 caliber handgun. Hernandez deflected the bullet with her keys, surviving by playing dead. Inside, he found her roommate, Okazaki, and shot her in the forehead when she raised her head, killing her instantly. That same day in Monterey Park, he dragged Celia and Veronica Yu from her car and shot her twice with a .22 caliber handgun, killing her. These rapid attacks drew media attention, earning Ramirez the names Walk-in Killer and Valley Intruder. March 27, 1985, Vincent Charles Zazera and Maxine Lavinia Zazera. In Whittier, Ramirez broke into the Zazera home and shot Vincent in the head with a .22 caliber handgun, killing him. Awakened by the gunshot, Maxine resisted, but Ramirez beat and bound her, demanding valuables. When she grabbed a shotgun from under the bed, unaware it was unloaded, and pulled the trigger, an enraged Ramirez shot her 3 times and carved an inverted cross into her chest with a kitchen knife. He removed her eyes and placed them in a jewelry box, evidencing his morbid trophy-keeping. Obvious sneaker prints found at the scene became crucial evidence. May 14, 1985, Bill Doy and Lillian Doy. In Monterey Park, Ramirez shot Bill Doy in the face with a .22 caliber handgun, rendering him unconscious, and bound Lillian with thumb cuffs before raping her. He looted the home and fled. Bill died from his injuries in the hospital. This incident highlighted Ramirez's willingness to target anyone, including those with disabilities. May 29, 1985, Mabel Bell and Florence Lang. In Monrovia, Ramirez entered the home of 83-year-old Mabel Bell and 81-year-old Florence Lang. Using a hammer from the kitchen, he beat and bound both sisters, torturing Florence with electrical shocks from a cord. He drew pentagrams on Bell's thigh and bedroom wall with her lipstick and raped Lang. The sisters were found comatose 2 days later. Bell died on July 15th, and Lang succumbed in August. July 2nd, 1985, Mary Louise Cannon. In Arcadia, Ramirez broke into 75-year-old Mary Louise Cannon's home, knocked her unconscious with a lamp, and stabbed her to death with a 10-inch butcher knife. He repeatedly stabbed her body, underscoring his excessive violence. July 7, 1985, Joyce Lucille Nelson and Sophie Dickman. In Monterey Park, Ramirez stomped 60-year-old Joyce Lucille Nelson to death on her living room couch, leaving obvious sneaker prints on her face. That same day, he entered 63-year-old Sophie Dickman's home, handcuffed her, and attempted rape before stealing valuables and fleeing. He forced Dickman to swear to Satan, intensifying her psychological trauma. July 20, 1985, Lela Needing, Maxon Needing, Chainarong Covenant, Somkid Covenant. In Glendale, after purchasing a machete, Ramirez entered the Needing home, hacked Lela and Maxon with the machete, and shot them in the head with a .22 caliber handgun. He further mutilated their bodies and stole valuables. Later that day in Sun Valley, he invaded the Covenant home, shot Chainarong dead, and beat and raped Somkid, demanding valuables and forcing her to swear to Satan. August 6, 1985, Chris Peterson and Virginia Peterson. In Northridge, Ramirez shot Virginia in the face and Chris in the neck with a .25 caliber handgun. Chris fought back, preventing further harm, and Ramirez fled. Both survived. August 8, 1985, Sakina Abawath and Elias Abawath. In Diamond Bar, Ramirez shot Elias in the head with a .25 caliber handgun, killing him, then handcuffed, beat, and raped Sakina. He forced her to swear to Satan, not to scream, and tied up their 3-year-old son when he entered the room. Sakina freed her son and sought help from neighbors. August 18, 1985, Peter Pan and Barbara Pan. In San Francisco, Ramirez shot Peter in the temple with a .25 caliber handgun, killing him, then beat, raped, and shot Barbara in the head. He left a pentagram and the phrase "Jack the Knife" on the bedroom wall in lipstick. Barbara survived, and obvious sneaker prints at the scene matched previous evidence. August 24, 1985, Bill Carnes and Inez Erickson. In Mission Viejo, Ramirez shot Carnes 3 times in the head with a .25 caliber handgun, critically injuring him, and beat and raped Erickson. Identifying himself as the Night Stalker, he forced her to swear her love for Satan. Erickson's detailed description of him provided critical investigative leads. Carnes survived after surgery removed 2 bullets. 3 suspected additional crimes. Ramirez was charged with the June 27, 1985, murder of Patty Elaine Higgins in Arcadia, but the case was dropped due to insufficient evidence. He was also a suspect in the San Francisco double murder of Christina and Mary Caldwell, and during incarceration, he boasted of killing over 20 people, though these claims were not legally substantiated. 4. Characteristics and patterns of crimes. Ramirez's crimes were marked by randomness and brutality. He entered homes through windows or unlocked doors, targeting victims regardless of age, gender, or social status. Using .22 and .25 caliber handguns, knives, machetes, hammers, and electrical cords, he beat, raped, and tortured victims, often leaving satanic symbols like pentagrams or inverted crosses. He reveled in psychologically humiliating victims, particularly forcing survivors to swear to Satan. His crimes, initially driven by robbery to sustain his drug addiction, evolved into a spree of murder and sexual violence. Investigation and arrest. 1. Investigation process. Ramirez's crimes triggered the largest police manhunt in California history. Los Angeles Sheriff's Department, LASD, detectives Frank Salerno and Gil Carrillo tracked him using obvious sneaker prints and ballistic evidence. The sneakers, a rare model with only 6 pairs sold in the U.S. and 1 in California, were pivotal in narrowing the investigation. However, in August 1985, San Francisco Mayor Dianne Feinstein's press conference disclosing details about the .25 caliber handgun disrupted the investigation, prompting Ramirez to discard his obvious sneakers off the Golden Gate Bridge. On August 24, 1985, Inez Erickson's description of Ramirez provided a vital lead. That same day, James Romero III recalled part of the license plate of a stolen orange Toyota Ramirez used during an attempted break-in. On August 28, The vehicle was found in Los Angeles' Koreatown, and Ramirez's fingerprint was lifted from the rear-view mirror. Matched to his prior criminal record in a newly implemented fingerprint database, this was a breakthrough, described by investigators as a miracle. 2. Arrest. On August 29, 1985, police released Ramirez's mugshot, declaring, "We know who you are and there's nowhere to hide." On August 30th, unaware his face was plastered across major media, Ramirez fled to Tucson, Arizona, to meet his brother. Returning to Los Angeles on August 31st, he saw his face on the front page of Law Opinion under headlines like Invasor Nocturno, Night Invader, and El Matador, the killer, at an East Los Angeles convenience store, and panicked. Ramirez fled across the Santa Ana freeway, attempting to steal a Ford Mustang, but was subdued by residents Faustino Pinion and Jose Burgoyne. He then tried to take Angelina de la Torre's car keys, but her husband, Manuel de la Torre, struck him with a fence post. In Boyle Heights, Hubbard Street, over a dozen residents chased and beat Ramirez until police arrived at 8 a.m. to arrest him. Trial and conviction. 1. Trial process. Ramirez's trial began on July 22, 1988, in Los Angeles. At his first court appearance, he displayed a pentagram on his palm, shouting, "Hail Satan," reinforcing his satanic image. Prison staff received information that he attempted to smuggle a gun to shoot the prosecutor, leading to metal detectors and thorough searches. On August 14, 1988, juror Phyllis Singletary was shot dead, but it was determined to be an unrelated murder by her boyfriend, causing fear among the jury. Replacement jurors were reluctant to return home. 2. Conviction. On September 20, 1989, Ramirez was convicted of 13 counts of murder, 5 counts of attempted murder, 11 counts of sexual assault, and 14 counts of burglary. On November 7, 1989, he was sentenced to death in California's gas chamber. The judge described his actions as exhibiting cruelty, callousness, and viciousness beyond human comprehension. Ramirez cynically told reporters, "Death always comes with the territory. See you at Disneyland." The trial cost $1.8 million, making it California's most expensive murder trial at the time. Incarceration and death. Ramirez was incarcerated as a death row inmate at San Quentin State Prison. He received numerous fan letters during the trial and incarceration, marrying Doreen Leoie in 1996, who had written to him since 1985. Leoie claimed she would commit suicide if he were executed, but survived his death. In 2006, the California Supreme Court upheld his conviction and death sentence. While further appeals were pending, Ramirez died on June 7, 2013, at Marin General Hospital in Greenbury, California, from B-cell lymphoma, chronic drug abuse, and hepatitis C complications. His body was cremated without being claimed. Societal impact and popular culture. 1. Societal fear and changes. Ramirez's crimes instilled unprecedented fear in California residents. His random attacks led people to lock doors and windows, install security systems, and purchase firearms. Nighttime outings in Los Angeles and San Francisco plummeted, and communities remained on edge until his arrest. His satanic imagery amplified public fear, significantly altering perceptions of serial killers. 2. Depictions in popular culture. Ramirez's story has been portrayed in various forms of media. The 2021 Netflix documentary Night Stalker, the hunt for a serial killer, detailed his crimes, and the investigation through first-person interviews, archival footage, and reenactments, highlighting the societal impact and investigators' dedication. Sun Kil Moon's 2014 song, Richard Ramirez Died Today of Natural Causes, explored the cultural and personal ramifications of his death, reflecting the lingering fear his crimes evoked. Ramirez also inspired characters in films, TV dramas, and novels. His satanic image and brutal crimes have been frequently adopted in the horror genre, contributing to the archetype of the modern serial killer. Psychological analysis and criminal motives. 1. Psychological background. Ramirez's crimes are believed to stem from a combination of his troubled childhood, brain injuries, drug addiction, and satanic beliefs. Michael Stone noted that Ramirez suffered multiple unconsciousness-inducing abuses before age 6, likely causing temporal lobe epilepsy and aggression. His cousin Valles' war crime stories fused violence with sexual fantasies, and Satanism provided ideological justification for his crimes. He reportedly drew inspiration from AC/DC's Highway to Hell album and the song Night Prowler, embracing the Night Stalker moniker. 2. Criminal motives. Ramirez's motives were multifaceted. Initially, robberies and thefts fueled his cocaine addiction. Over time, his crimes transcended financial gain, as he took pleasure in inflicting extreme fear and humiliation, likely rooted in his psychopathic tendencies and satanic beliefs. His need for power and control over victims may have been an attempt to resolve internal conflicts and feelings of inferiority. Law enforcement and investigative advancements. The Ramirez case significantly influenced law enforcement investigative techniques. His fingerprint identification through the newly implemented Automated Fingerprint Identification System, AFIS, was a landmark achievement. The integration of shoe print analysis and ballistic evidence underscored the importance of multidisciplinary approaches in serial killer investigations. However, Dianne Feinstein's information leak highlighted the need for careful media management, leading to more cautious handling of sensitive information by law enforcement. Conclusion. Richard Ramirez's crimes were the result of a confluence of a troubled childhood, drug addiction, satanic beliefs, and psychological instability. His 14-month crime spree left deep scars and fear in Los Angeles and San Francisco, influencing community safety awareness and law enforcement investigative techniques. His arrest and trial demonstrated the strength of the U.S. judicial system, but his death by natural causes before execution sparked controversy. Ramirez's story remains a hallmark of modern serial killer cases, enduring in popular culture and criminology studies.